that you call currency does not generate current, it is not currency. Does paper generate currency?
No.
Is paper currency?
No.
Any form of paper?
No.
A certificate?
No.
A debt note?
No.
A United States note? A Federal Reserve note?
No.
A stock? You know the papers that you get, say you're a stockholder?
No.
A bond? All these things, stocks, bonds, certificates, what else did I say? Anything that says note, anything that says this is an instrument, what else do we have? Reserve notes. I don't care what kind of note it is. If it's a U.S. note, Treasury note, Federal Reserve note, none of them are currency. What's very interesting is, and this is what we learned in our trade currency class, these Federal Reserve notes are transferable for something. The fact that they say Federal Reserve note tells you that they belong to and they are the property of anytime you see the word bank, there's a con game going on. Don't trust that word. I don't care what name precedes it or follows it. There's a con game going on whenever you see the word bank. You may as well just figure that you're being conned. We're not going to talk about how you're being conned tonight, and we talked about that in trade and currency class. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank is the owner of these Federal Reserve notes that you carry around and conduct trade with. Why is it that you're able to use them? Pull out a Federal Reserve note. We have to do this for all you people who have not had trade currency class. Pull out a $1 bill for those of you who have it. If you don't have one, share with someone. Pull it out. Let's take a look at it. These things you have to see it for yourself because we've covered this. For those of you who haven't had trade currency class, I have to show it to you so we can move forward. You understand what we're talking about. Everybody see that? See two signatures up there. We talked about this a little in our Who's Who class. You see the two signatures on the front. Down at the bottom. You see Mary Ellen Withrow, right? And you see Ron Rubin, right? Who is it? Lauren Summers?
I have Robin.
Somebody has Summers?
Yeah.
You have Summers? That must be a new bill because he's just appointed last year when Rubin resigned.
It's a new one.
It's a new one. Okay, so now, look on the back. You see two seals on the back?
Yeah.
So what do you have in that document? A contract. That document is a contract. It's signed and sealed. It's a contract. It's signed and sealed. Got it? Two seals up there. Huh? What two seals do you see on that document?
Morris seal and
You have the U.S. and the USA. But the U.S. is signing for somebody. They're representing, they're sitting in the seat for somebody, which gives them the authority to sign that contract. You already know the answer. I heard somebody say it. The Moors. Okay? So this is a lawful contract that they have with the USA. Like that. And their contract is signed and sealed. It's valid. So for any of those organizations out there that are telling you the debt notes and these Federal Reserve notes are worthless and this and that and whatever. Don't listen to them. This is a valid contract for the world to see. Now, on the front, you got your two signatures. Mary Ellen Withrow signed for who? Yes, she did. She's the United States. Mary Ellen Withrow is the treasurer of the United States. She is elected. She's not appointed. She is elected, and she signed that contract for the United States. Ron Rubin, or Lawrence Summers, because you have him, he was, Ron Rubin resigned. Lawrence Summers is the new Secretary of the Treasury. The Treasury of the United States of America. Whereas Mary Ellen Withrow was elected by you at the Democratic National Convention, okay? And she's signing for the Moors. As treasurer of the United States, they are two separate and distinct things. Two separate and distinct entities, two separate and distinct offices. Well, one is an office and one is a department, actually. This is a department. Lawrence Summers and Ron Rubin signed for the Treasury Department over here. Y'all see that? You have to. Anybody have any questions about that? Because y'all have to be clear about that before we can move on, all right? So, what happens when you use a Federal Reserve note? Most people have been in the habit of taking Federal Reserve notes to your average everyday Joe Blow bank. Commerce, Mellon, PNC, First Union, Sovereign. And we see Core States is gone. We don't have them anymore. Whatever bank you name, first of all, they're conning you. But the banks are in the business because you don't know any better. So they're the middleman. And they're in the middle of doing what? They're not making any money. Well, no, they're not really stealing. Well, we're going to get into the next question, what is money, and then you'll see why that's not true. No bank, other than the Federal Reserve Bank, deals in currency. Not one. Not one. They trade in these things right here. Paper. They are paper traders. They are paper traders. They're in the business of trading and exchanging paper. That's all they do. Promissory notes and debt notes. That's what they're in the business to do. Don't ever be misled about who they are. Banks. All banks. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank is a little bit different because it's chartered by the United States, by Congress. Chartered by Congress. So now, if you want to exchange a Federal Reserve note for another Federal Reserve note, you can go to your average Joe Blow bank, right? But if you want to exchange a Federal Reserve note for currency, they can't do that. They can't help you. They're not in the business to do that. They'll tell you, well, we can't do that, but you ask them, well, where do I go? They are not going to be able to tell you.
Don't know?
They know. The average teller doesn't know. I would say your tellers know. Even your branch managers don't know. But banking executives know. The ones who sit upstairs, you never see them downstairs and talk to them.
But I read that they make the money.
Who makes money? Does anybody have the Constitution in here?
Oh.
Does anybody have a law? Could you look in the back of the law dictionary? And I forgot which section it is. It talks about, I want to say Article 4 is it that talks about coining money? Find the one that talks about coining money so we can answer your question. The Federal Reserve Bank does not make money. They don't, no. They can print paper. They can print paper. They're good at that. Huh? Who makes money?
Oh, when I said money, I was
Okay, let's say who makes the money? Who creates that thing that we call money? That we call the mint. Right, the U.S. Mint, but not them. The United States Mint is in the business of coining money. Why do they say coining money? Because that's number 6, where it talks about contracts and all that, and the states cannot coin money. Okay, but while you're looking for that, I'll move on. All right. If it's not a coin, it's not currency. Okay? Now, what causes the currency? Why do you even call it currency?
Because it moves from place to place.
It moves, yes.
The energy.
The energy,
It conducts electricity.
it actually conducts current. Why? Because we are chemical, electrical, magnetic, spiritual beings, divine beings, right? So we have in us electricity. And every chemical and element there is on the planet is in us also. So we are chemical, electrical, magnetic. This is all this defines us. Well, I'll say that, but we're spiritual and divine beings. But let's say that. So we're dealing with these terms right here when we talk about currency. For those of you who've had the woman class, you know about our vibratory rate and all that, okay? So now, let's take it here. We're this. So inherent in us is this. And from the woman class, you know that DNA is the master recorder. It records everything, and it never forgets. Every thought, every word, everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard, everything you've ever felt, everything you've ever touched is recorded in your DNA. So when these people, we'll call them Albions, wanted to take control of our land and our system, the most important thing they had to do was remove the current from the currency. They had to remove currency. Okay? And this is how they solidified their hold on our country and our government and our whole structure of our land and everything that we've done. They removed the currency. And they simply did that. I don't know what I want to write down in red or blue. Let's say we do this. March 6, 1933. It was coming to a head even from the days of Lincoln because the state banks printed state notes. We talked about this in trade currency class, right? They printed state notes. And the state notes were for the state banks. And what would happen is, it was a debt note, and what would happen is the people would take their gold and silver, their currency, into the bank, into a vault. And then the bank would count the currency and give them debt notes that they could give to people and trade with so they wouldn't have to carry the currency around. Well, they said so. It was so heavy. However, you found it? Let me just finish this point, then we're going to read that. However, the purpose of the debt note was for, let's say, you give me a debt note, right? But you have that money in the bank. So at any point, the debt note you give me is a promissory note that says at some point in time, whenever I choose, I can take my promissory note to her bank and cash it in for the currency, for the lawful money. But in the meantime, what was happening was the banks were stealing the money. They were setting up Jesse James and the boys to rob trains and steal the currency. So it got to the point where when I tried to go in to exchange my promissory note for the lawful money, it wasn't there. The banks were stealing it. So it got so bad, and this is why they killed Lincoln, because Lincoln wanted to stop this process, and he tried to implement what was called greenbacks, which was the federal system instead of the state system, so that the federal government could take control of the debt note system and have the faith, that the people would have the faith that their promissory notes would be honored. Okay? So, by the time Roosevelt got to be president, it had gotten so bad that he had to call for a bank holiday of 3 Masonic days. 3 Masonic days. He called out the military to every bank in the country. Can you imagine? That's what they did, and they called all the military out to the banks. Go and look it up, to the banks, and on this day, they closed all the banks, from the 6th to the 9th. All right? And what did they do? First of all, they had to sneak them. They had to take them by surprise. surprise because Lincoln was trying to plan it, and you see what happened to him. So they had to keep it quiet. They had to take them by surprise. All of a sudden, one day, all these military troops converged on all the banks in the country and shut them down and put all the bank executives out of the buildings. So what did they do? They seized all the state notes, and they took all the gold and silver out of the vaults. Because the people had gotten to the point where the people had forgotten that this system that I just explained to you, that you're supposed to be able to go back to the bank and turn the debt note in to get the money. We had gotten so accustomed to just trading in paper, we started calling it paper money. And that's what happened, okay? So they seized all of the state notes so the state could no longer issue state debt notes, state bank promissory notes, okay? They instituted a system of federal banks, because you know all banks are not state chartered. There are some federally chartered banks, okay? To stabilize the whole system. And that's when they put in I have to write them in blue because not red. That's when they instilled the Federal Reserve Bank. Initially, it wasn't even called the bank, and it was based upon the Federal Reserve Act. Okay? Now you see why they had to do that? They had to do that because the people's money was already stolen. The vast, vast majority of it, the bankers had stolen. Okay? And this is why then Roosevelt had to make an announcement to the public that they were replacing the state notes with the Federal Reserve. At the time, they were called United States notes. This is what they first replaced them with. United States notes. See, I wrote that in red? And the United States notes were gold and silver certificates. Okay? Now, and there are a few of these, people still have a few of these, they're lingering around here and there. And you can tell them because they have red numbers on them. We have some. If you ever run across them, you better keep them. Okay? They have red letters on them, red numbers and letters. Huh?
How would you all feel like that?
Okay, well, it's a United States note. It's not a Federal Reserve note. Federal Reserve note writing is in green. This writing
Very
is
old too.
it's in red. Okay? Now, everybody understands this. Do you have any questions about this? Now, when they removed the current from the currency, what happened was this. Because we are chemical and electrical magnetic beings, and all of this I taught in trade and currency class, when we trade in coins, what are our coins made of? We got gold, silver, copper, nickel. See that? All conductors of electricity. So when you trade in this medium right here, you're closing a circuit between one chemical and electrical magnetic being and another. And because this conducts, especially gold and silver, well, copper too, they're all good conductors of electricity. When you trade with these, you exchange DNA recording information. That's the power of that. You remember things. You keep it in contact with everybody you trade with. You understand that? Because it remembers. So, with that in mind, you're able to know your ancestry. You're able to know things without ever writing them down because the information is transferred this way. And you just know it automatically. Nobody has to tell it to you. You don't have to read it in a book. You understand? It's done this way. So when they want, and everybody asks me, well, how did we lose our empire? This is how we lost it. Because we are dependent upon currency. When they wanted to further demoralize our ability to deal with currency, they started pushing hair care products that changed the texture of our hair. We talked about that in woman class. All right? When you change the texture of your hair, you damage your antennas. You damage your connectedness, your vehicle to be able to talk to the astral plane. You haven't had woman class, right?
But I know.
You understand what I'm saying?
Been there.
Okay?
I had someone.
Okay, wait till you see the woman in the woman class. All right? So when they did this to the women, you know, all of a sudden they started teaching about Ida and Madam C.J. Walker. Right? All of a sudden she comes out of nowhere, right? We didn't learn about her when I was in elementary school. Had never heard of her.
First black man.
The first black millionaire from what? Straightening company.
That was her.
To change the texture of our hair. So all of a sudden, all these women, oh yeah, we need to straighten our hair. Get rid of our natural hair, our natural antennas. So that's what happened there. So we had the currency removed. So it was easy to forget. Understand, in the meantime, they're still trading with this. They're still trading with this at their level. You're not. But because these Federal Reserve notes belong to the Federal Reserve Bank, what does that tell you? You can trade in your Federal Reserve notes and get currency. Yes, you can. You can go right over there. In fact, though, you know, because I should have brought the article. In fact, the article was sitting right on top of the file cabinet today. It was about the Treasury. And then there's another article. They closed their walk-in service, so you can't walk into the Federal Reserve Bank anymore. Did y'all know that? Yeah, they just did it. You said in September, they just did it. And they said they closed their offices because they had like 10 customers a day around. Did you read the article? Okay. And they said they had like less than an average of 10 customers a day coming into the Federal Reserve banks around the country. And the majority of them were senior citizens. Why? They remember. They know. They don't talk about it, but they know that they can take their Federal Reserve notes to the Federal Reserve Bank and trade them in for currency. Now you know. And it's gotten, huh? You can't walk in anymore.
Before September.
Yes, before September and it's gotten so bad that even now, well, you can do it through the mail, you can do it over the internet and stuff like that. You can send in even a money order, right, and get back currency, whatever the value of gold is for the day or whatever, okay? But, I forgot what I was going to say. The whole purpose of setting it up this way was to give the people a venue to be able to deal lawfully. But the Federal Reserve Bank doesn't advertise their services. You're supposed to just know. And if you don't know, tough. The local banks deal with the Federal Reserve Bank. You know, every time you write a check, do you know the system? Anybody here work in the bank? Okay, when you write a check, and this is why you get in trouble when you bounce a check. This is why you can get in so much trouble. Here's the system. Y'all see that? Now, this is you. And this is the Federal Reserve. And this is your bank. Well, let's say you're receiving a check, and somebody else may be in here. Anyway, you write a check, you write the check, it goes to the person you wrote it to, they put it in the bank, right? Now, their bank sends it to the Federal Reserve because the United States government does not trust banks. They will not allow, they don't trust them. They will not allow, the way it used to work before March 6, 1933, you would give it to them, they take it to their bank would send it to your bank, and then your bank will withdraw the money from your account. You got that? But they began to be so corrupt, the federal government stepped in and said, we're not letting you do that anymore. You have to send it through us. Right? You write a check to somebody, it goes to their bank. Their bank must send it to the Federal Reserve. Then the Federal Reserve validates it or whatever, then sends it to your bank for payment. Right? Your bank does not send the money to that bank. What do? They send the money, your bank sends the money back to the Federal Reserve, then the Federal Reserve pays them. Oh oh yeah, the Federal Reserve, United States does not trust these banks. Y'all got that? And the reason why you get in so much trouble when you bounce a check is because it interferes over here. Not because of these banks. Here. That's right. That's why it's this is why. Y'all see that? Anybody have any question about that? Okay, I wrote them all in blue. Well, I should have written you in red. Yes. Okay, everybody clear about currency? Now, what is money? What is money? Anybody know? Got a guess? Huh?
It's a medium of exchange.
It's a medium of exchange. Anytime it's a medium of trade. It's whatever the two parties agree that they're going to trade with, that constitutes money. If it's corn versus wheat versus barley versus shoes versus clothes, whatever the two are trading, that becomes the money. Okay? Money and currency are two different things. Money and currency are two different things. Now, currency can be used as money. Currency can be used as money. All right? Right. But money cannot be used as currency. Y'all got that? Now, money is a lawful medium of, it is lawful. Let's go back to these things right here. Everything on this list, are they lawful? All these things here, are they lawful? No. They are legal. They are legal. Yet, all of them depend on something that's lawful for their mere existence. That there's some currency somewhere. That there's a promise of an exchange of currency somewhere. Okay? Now, what is happening is people stay stuck right here. Minus all that. They get stuck right there. And they think that this is money. So they never go beyond this to get to dealing in currency. And one of the reasons is because the information has been lost, absent for so long in them that they've forgotten that they trade in currency. Okay? They think they trade here. And debt notes, certificates, bonds, and stocks. Okay? And all these instruments. Even a form of instrument is a deed. It is an instrument because you can use the deed as collateral to get Federal Reserve notes. You can do that. You can use a deed as collateral to get a Federal Reserve note, which gives you the opportunity to take the Federal Reserve note to the Federal Reserve Bank to get some lawful currency. But you don't do that, do you? So they're giving you an opportunity to come to the law. They know that this opportunity exists. But so far they see you don't know how to exercise that. You do not have to be a Moor to do this. Okay? Now, since money is lawful and it is a medium of exchange, who can trade in money? Who can use money to trade? Anyone. Anyone can use money to trade. Right now, and here's what happened. As the people began to fall out of their sovereign status, they could no longer use currency. They could only use money because currency is reserved for sovereigns, sovereign-minded people. And this is why this situation came about. As the people became so ignorant of the whole concept of currency, they began to trade in Federal Reserve notes and using them, and well, at first United States notes, and using them as money. Okay, fine. But at some point in time, you're supposed to know that you can exchange the money and go get currency. Gradually, people came out of their sovereign status, less and less currency was in circulation. So it began to dwindle down on both sides. Less currency in circulation and less understanding of sovereignty. Less sovereignty, less currency. Less sovereignty, less currency. So right now, right? There's almost no currency in circulation. They even took the silver dollars. Even the silver dollars back in the 60s were relatively popular. You don't even see them anymore. Just thinking they tried to put it, the United States was trying to put it back in when they came out with the Susan B. Anthony dollar. But the science of the shape of the dollar and using Susan B. Anthony, who is not a sovereign by any stretch of the imagination, she's not a Moor, didn't go together. So the whole thing failed. Now they learned their lesson. Now what are they doing? Sacagawea. She's on a gold-colored dollar coin. You haven't seen one yet. They're going to be coming out. They're already huh? Oh yeah, but they selling them like that, but they're not just, you're not trading with them and stuff like in the stores and stuff. Not yet. But it's coming.
You said gold color.
Yeah.
Is it gold?
That they are silver, but they're gold. I wouldn't venture to say they're plated with gold. No, they're gold colored, and they say that they're gold colored. I have never seen them advertised that as gold plated. Have you?
No.
No, gold colored, okay? But even though it has silver, it has a measure of currency in it. So they're closer now to Sacagawea, but they're calling her an Indian. Okay, they're advertising that she's an Indian. Now, with the fact that they have the currency out there, what is happening to the people? They're becoming more aware. They're becoming conscious. They're waking up. Now what's happening is this. Treaty of Manhattan expires. On their calendar, that's the date. Of course, it would be 21st of March. Right? Now, they know this, and systematically, as the treaties expire and more of us become conscious, there's not going to be any re-signing of treaties. There's a problem. So what if you have no re-signing of treaties, this one in particular, and the people are ignorant? So they have to, chaos. So they're trying to cut the chaos to a minimum. So they're trying to put this consciousness back into circulation before the expiration of this treaty. That's what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, the people are their consciousness is so dead that they're not even they're having a hard time even accepting this thing. Okay? They're having a hard time even accepting the Sacagawea coin. All right? The effects of the loss of currency. When you lose currency, one of the first things you lose is memory. In the trade currency class, you're going to learn how that affects people as they age. It's causing them to have loss of memory is currency loss. Lose their currency level, you will enhance the memory. Okay? But that's trade currency class. I'm not going to get into all that detail tonight. What other things can you imagine that you lose when you lose your currency? Well, of course, let's put that, I wasn't going to say that, but that's in your memory, you lose your history. Ancestry. Is that a word I wrote? Yes, ancestry. Well, actually, they go hand in hand. You lose them both at the same time. Status and currency. What else do you lose? They go together.
Would that energy be the same?
Hmm?
Or is it something different?
What
In terms
energy?
of just exchanging, if you have a current, we're all electrical beings, and you're constantly touching something that's providing you with another level of energy, there is an exchange of energy that reinforces it just in that contact.
That's right.
Exchange.
That's
That would
right.
be, energy, that would be, another kind of energy.
Well, power, energy.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
Yes. You can say that's synonymous. When we say power, what are we talking about? Control. Control of what? What have we lost control of?
Ourselves.
Huh? For ourselves, we lost total control of our land, and that's where I'm going because I'm getting to that. Well, actually, number 5. When we lost this, I'm going to draw a circle. We lost everything. The Alpha and the Omega. Now, what else have we lost when we lost currency? Loss of health. Don't you lose your health? Memory, when we say memory, we're talking about your consciousness too. You lost that.
We also like lose your power, lose your privileges that goes with the power.
Privileges?
Status.
Status? Right. Wow. Y'all see that? Everybody see that?
Yeah.
We got to go get our currency back, don't we? Somebody's what?
Here's a question for you. When you're exchanging and touching the currency, did you drop the higher quality currency in that contact since Albion also touches as well as vibrating or lower level?
Say again. If you have different people of different vibratory rates touching the same coin, do you absorb that too?
Would you absorb that, or would your vibratory rates resonate with the vibratory rate of other?
It's the highest.
Right.
It's the highest. It's the highest.
Okay, so would
Y'all hear that? Hear that? That's a good question.
The highest drop in the high.
Right.
The
If-
highest and the lowest.
Yes. He's saying that if you have different people of different vibratory rates touching the same coin, what happens when you touch the coin and you have a high vibratory rate? Do you absorb the lower one? No. It comes with you. However, the higher level stuff filters it out. Yes, it rules. Is that the proper word? Got that? Wall. 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 Huh?
I said, he said,
I didn't say street yet. I said wall.
yes. Very serious.
Huh?
structure,
You got that? Wall.
Block.
Block it, dead end.
Street.
Can't go together.
You have your law dictionary. Look up street for me. Hmm? It's like, this right here is like saying bar association. Bar. Let's write it like this. Bar association.
that's street name.
See that? Barring you from something. It's a wall, right? Keep you out of something. What does it say about street?
It just has street name.
That's the 6th edition?
And it's
I should brought mine. Well, when you say street, automatically you're implying corporation. That's why when I filed my documents for my house, I renamed my road. It was called 55th Street, So funny because when people ask me, where do you live? I say, I live on 55th Road. There's no 55th Road in Philadelphia. There is now. And I'm gonna get a sign and put outside my house, 55th, whatever, road. Road is ancient, that's ours. Streets are corporate. And actually, I went downtown and got it redesignated. Oh, yes, I did. Actually, I don't know. Huh? Every now and then, I get mail to occupant. Actually, it's Master Road. Okay. Now, I'm gonna systematically change the maps in Philadelphia. Oh yeah, we're getting rid of these streets, avenues, boulevards. We're getting rid of all of them because all of them are corporate, and we're going back. Drives, parkways.
You know, some parts of the city have, Briar Road, there's still no road, Beverly Road.
Yes.
Because a friend of mine now, she's at a system, she said, oh, she lives at Briar Road. Where is that at? And
Right.
it's still in the city.
It's in West Mount area, isn't
Right,
it?
it's over here. Yeah, what I'm saying, but the next one is a street. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and almost all of those roads are in West Mount area
Yeah,
and Chestnut Hill area.
yeah.
You know why?
Oh, yeah.
Where the Moors had their last stronghold.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so Wall Street is there to keep you out of something. So I asked the question, what are they hiding? What are they hiding? What are they hiding from you? Huh? They don't have any money. Now, remember I told you, in March 6, 1933, the United States stepped in and seized all the money from all the banks. These banks do not trade in currency, meaning they took all the currency, right? They took it all from them. You said they're bankrupt? Yes, every state in the Union is bankrupt. Every state in the Union is bankrupt because they stepped in and seized all the money. That's why they have to apply for federal dollars to get things done. Because they are bankrupt. All of this, no state in the Union has this right here. They can't, we were going to come back to that. In the Constitution, you still have it? The article in the Constitution about Article 1, Section 8. No state in the Union has any currency. United States of America, do they have currency? No. No. In the Constitution is Article 1, Section what? 8. And it says,
The Congress shall have power to lay on taxes, duties, imports, and excise, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States with all duties. Imposts and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States and regulate commerce with foreign nations and among several states on which Indian tribes. Fifth one is to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures.
right, but that's not the one I was thinking of. The one I was thinking of where it says, no state shall coin money. That's not in, that can't be in Article 1. That has to be further back. Maybe Article 4 or 5 or something like that. Look at Article 6. Seems like that rings a bell. Wall Street. What are they hiding? There's some tricky little devils. What are they hiding? What are they doing? What do they do up there? They trade?
Where the currency is,
What are the tools of trade? Paper. They trade in paper. They don't have any currency. They don't have any currency. And they also trade in money. Why? Money is a medium of exchange. Whatever the two parties agree is money. So that at any point in time, they can go to a sovereign somewhere and trade in the debt note for currency. They trade all around the world. And everywhere in the world, they trade in paper. Why? Wall Street is based upon the existence of corporate nation states. Nation states do not trade in currency. They trade in paper. The yen versus the dollar bill. The yen bill versus the dollar bill. Right? The lira bill versus the peso bill. See? It's not, see, check this out.
Would you just repeat this for me? What did you say?
Which part?
The Wall Street is a corporation of nation states?
Conglomerate of corporations.
Based upon existence
Based-
of nation states.
Got that? Here we go. Watch this. Read it out for us, please.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and appraisal, or coin money, remit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin, a tender in payment of debt, passing bill of attainment, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contract, or grant any title of nobility.
Oh, they can't grant titles of nobility either.
It's under Article 1, Section 9, subsection 10.
Section 9,
Section 10, subsection 1. It's Article 1, Section 10,
10.
subsection 1.
subsection 1. Subsection 1. It's Article 1, Section 10, subsection 1. Is that what you said? Huh? 12. Hey, that's it. All right, y'all got that? They cannot coin money.
What was the section?
Article 1, Section 10, subsection 1. Okay. Let's see here. Here we go. Watch this. The hand is quicker than the eye. Did I spell that right? I just want to do it. D-E-U. No, it's not E. D-U-E. Is it D-E-U? I know it's a U in there. Come on, y'all. D-E-U. D-E-U.
It's called a mark. It's called a mark. Mark. It's called a Dutch mark.
It's one word?
Dutch mark.
M-A-R-K.
Swiss franc.
What else?
That's a C.
No.
See? That's right. You're right. Okay. What's the problem with them? Oh, pound?
They're all hard to pronounce.
Right, Sterling? No, right.
No, they just got rid of the pound coin. When I was in London, and then they got it into their bank.
What do all of these have in common? Paper. The lira bill, the peso bill, the yen bill, the dollar bill, this bill, franc bill, pound bill. Bill of what? Huh? the law dictionary.
Something you owe.
Is it note?
A bill is a note, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are all debt notes. Corporate nation states trade this way, and Wall Street trades amongst corporate nation states. That's fair. What do we have over here? Huh? What, the different countries in the world, whatever country it is, how do they trade? Gold, silver, copper,
Gems?
nickel.
And how about oil?
Now they're,
Gems?
How about oil? It's not,
Palladium.
not platinum.
I don't care what country in the world. Countries do not trade in bills. Sovereigns do not trade in paper. They do not. Outside of that, they may trade in other precious metals other than these. What else? Only one other thing. Well, oil is exchanged for this, for these.
What about things like wheat, rice?
Food. Or you could say agricultural products. Everybody understand this? See where we are? See where they are? So, Wall Street deals on this side right here. Now,
And what side?
this side, the corporate nation state side. Who asked that question? This side right here. They can't trade over here. When you hear anything about Wall Street exchanging this right here, the only thing they're doing is keeping track. They're tracking and giving you the measurement of that, but they're not trading there. Because they don't own these things. Sovereigns trade at that level right there. Now you can go out and you can buy these things right here, and you can exchange them to get products and services. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. But countries don't trade in this right here. This is all paper. It means nothing to them. This is the substance over here. And all of this comes from the earth. So when we talk about Wall Street, yes.
But you said the United States of America does not have currency. It doesn't have that. Now, but the federal, well, someplace in the United States, I think, has what? Someplace where they keep gold.
Does it belong to the United States of America?
Okay, I understand that concept.
No.
Okay, and that is the reason, and they understand that, and that's the
They
reason why
who?
they don't. Mr. Crooks,
Corporate nation states understand that they don't trade in currency?
they don't trade it because it doesn't belong to them, and that's, they did it at the
Because-
time.
No, they didn't.
Well,
They
still
stole the
belong
money
to
from the
them.
people. They stole the money, they stole the currency from the people. But the minute they try to trade in it, a sovereign somewhere seizes it and forces them to trade in debt notes. Forces that. They maintain that always. So when you watch the
So
thing
they- oh, I see.
on Wall Street where they're talking about the trading and all that like that, they're trading paper. Don't get caught up in that game with their paper game. You know, that's like being conned by somebody on the street with paper. You know what I'm saying? Don't get caught up in their paper game. Jump over here and deal with these things that have substance and longevity. These, they play games on this side of the thing. And this is why it's called Wall Street. It has even a double meaning. Number one, there's a wall between them and them. They don't want you to think that's there, but there's a wall there that they can't cross over into there. And then the other wall is between them and the masses of the people over here, where they are trading over here and keeping the masses of the people trading in paper.
that's what I was gonna ask you. You notice like around the new year is coming in, they always say they wait to hear what Greenspan has to say as to what stocks are gonna go up this year, which ones not to,
Well,
buy
who
into.
is Alan Greenspan? Chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay.
Why do all the Wall Street and the companies and the corporations, why are they so anxious to hear what this man has to say? Why?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Huh?
Understand what he's saying.
He is the executive director of the Federal Reserve Bank. Why are they so interested in knowing what he has to say? All of these banks, wait a minute, where's our triangle? Why are they so interested in what he has to say? All of these little mom and pop banks, did y'all know that all banks are franchises? They're just like a McDonald's franchise. And so when you go to like the headquarters, they franchise and people buy into the franchise just like you buy to be an owner, of the McDonald's or whatever like that. Banks franchise the same way. All right. Here's what's happening. Whoa, what? Let me see. Alan Greenspan, let's say this right here for a minute. Alan Greenspan is the executive director. What does that tell you when I say executive director?
Corporation.
What kind of corporation
Private.
has an executive director? A private nonprofit corporation. So Alan Greenspan is the executive director of the private nonprofit corporation that calls itself the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank is the only one in this country that can exchange debt notes for lawful money, for currency. It's the only one. That's why it's so important for them to hear. Because when we go to our triangle right here, they're only trading in debt notes, in bills, right? Bills of credit. That's what they're trading in. Now, because they're chartered to trade in paper, they have to get permission from the federal government to do that. Now, they don't have any currency of their own, right? So, in order to even use the Federal Reserve's debt notes, because they're not allowed to print their own debt notes anymore, they have to pay the Federal Reserve a fee. They have to pay the Federal Reserve a fee in exchange for being allowed to use the Federal Reserve notes. Y'all didn't know that. Y'all don't know that the banks are buying the debt notes. They're trading in paper. They're buying these debt notes from the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve is letting them use them.
No,
What's
when I
that,
came in,
what's that?
I'm sorry, when I came in, you were saying this and I didn't get it. What is it that you said you can go to the Federal Reserve Bank and present for currency? Is that?
Federal Reserve notes. Anybody else miss that? You missed that too.
And all bills are not Federal Reserve notes.
We have all kinds of bills.
Is it, what I heard recently is that you can't walk into it now, you can only do it by
Mail.
phone, mail, or internet.
That's
Is that-
right.
Is that correct?
That's the only way, yeah.
A lot of banks just say they are protected by the FIC.
FDIC.